Hi everyone, Miranda Cady, Premier Sotheby's International Realty, and I could not be more excited. One of my dear friends, Herman Chan, joining us here from California, Berkeley, Silicon Valley, Bay Area. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm marvelous. And you?
Oh, fabulous. So I have to say, we had the best time connecting at LevelUp in Manhattan Beach. I mean, you stood out like a shining gem.
Oh
And
my,
I cannot wait for you to come visit Orlando. I know we talked about that. Can't wait
you.
to host you here in my beautiful city. But tell
Well,
us
good.
all about what you have going on in Berkeley, California, and your market, Herman.
Oh my gosh, where do I begin? I mean, my lord. Well, we have lots of micro markets here and microclimates to begin with. So, San Francisco Bay Area is known for its diversity. So it's not just diverse people, but diverse weather patterns too. Literally, you drive like, 10 minutes away and you're in a different like eco zone.
Love it.
Yeah, in terms of just real estate, I mean, runs a whole gamut. I mean, we have homes built here historically from like the late 1800s to modern construction now. And so lots of mid-century, which I know is going to make you all giddy. Several Eichlers, actually a lot of Eichlers actually in the East Bay. So, it runs the gamut. There's something for everybody. Drawback is price point is a lot higher than the rest of the country, just a little bit higher than the rest of the country.
You pay for the ability to connect with your neighborhood. Let's be honest.
There we go, right. You pay for the sunshine tax, right? So yeah, I mean, it's been a great draw. California in the Bay Area, as everyone knows, has just had a wonderful run because of Silicon Valley and tech and all that stuff. So we shall see how this whole like new environment pans out though. So, things are definitely, we're in an inflection point now, and I'm not trying to be negative Nancy, or I'm just realistic Rita. But it's going to be interesting. We should do another one of these in 6 months and see where.
I would love that. I would love it. Okay, so on that note, before our 6-month follow-up, I have a projection that your city and mine are going to come out okay on this. And the reason being, because we're so tech focused and tech forward, I think we really have a leg up in the marketplace, so to speak. And we're used to using the tools and resources like these Zoom chats or 3D virtual tours. Our market is busier than ever. I honestly did not even notice a slowdown. And most of our traction, actually, one of my big listings, the NASCAR listing you probably saw me post a while back, that just went under contract, sight unseen, buyers from Bel Air.
Yes, marvelous.
Yeah, California, we're seeing a huge influx from California. So the symbiosis between our markets is on point. And I'll just tell you real quick too, we actually have one of the testing grounds for autonomous vehicles here. And the laser LiDAR technology that is actually giving those vehicles vision to see is created by a company, Luminar, that is based in Silicon Valley. But its major operations happen here in Orlando.
Oh my gosh, see, we're twinsies. Who knew?
I can't wait to come visit you. So really the topic and point of this conversation today is to talk architecture, mid-century modern. I'm a huge Frank Lloyd Wright fan, and obviously every architect that was inspired by him and kind of motivated to change the world and the way that we interact in our homes and our spaces. So you're actually virtually sitting in front of a stunning listing.
Thank you. Let me put my head between my legs so y'all can see. Oh man.
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Three stories?
So it is 3 stories. It's an interesting kind of property. So built in 1961. And I need your viewers, because you have a huge platform, Miss Miranda, I need your help a little bit. So I've been doing so much research about this property, and it's a rather scant. So I know that the owner, his name was Benjamin Fishstein. And he built this house. He designed it himself. He was an architect, but he actually never got to finish it. He was maybe like 90% done.
Aww.
Yeah, and so he passed away, and then his wife took it on, obviously, and she lived there for a minute, and then she sold it to someone else. But I can't find anything else he's done. But clearly, if you look into the actual house and you see the 3D tour and the immersive, the place is literally a work of art. And I'm not trying to like be Mr. Showy, but the thing about mid-modern century is there are a lot of lines and angles, but this one, and they're square oftentimes. Just very clean right angles. This one is all about diamonds. So if you go to, like, for example, the website, like MontclairMidCentury.com, just plugging it, right? You'll see so many diamonds everywhere, from the skylight shapes to the tiles, and even the actual layout of the house is a formation of multiple diamonds, which is actually the shape of the letter M for a very romantic reason. He apparently was so in love with his wife, whose name started with an M, that he built a freaking house in the shape of M.
Speaking of
Literally,
diamonds, just throwing it out there, if anyone wants to buy me the house, my name does start with an M. We can just start there.
it's a sign. It's a sign. Yeah, so
I will definitely put the link in the bottom of the comments so everyone can access the property. It's absolutely stunning. I mean, you can see the flow, the way that it merges. Yep, on the hillside.
Floor to ceiling windows, which is very, very like of that time frame. And also, I think you mentioned in many of your other posts that the indoor-outdoor living situation, I mean, there's multiple like decks and backyard area which flow so openly because like just the way the windows are done. And this particular architect I'm kind of obsessed with, and I need your readers and your viewers' help because like, I know nothing about him, but he was very ahead of his time. Like, you know, the accordion doors now, which like open up the whole entire wall, that was built originally. He built that, which was so like 50 years ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And then also the whole notion of reclaimed wood, like repurposing like wood, like all the beams were built from an old bridge, and we can tell that because there was little like dots and holes in which used to be where the bolts and nuts were.
Wow.
So, yeah, like he was so ahead of his time, and I feel like he was a little genius that no one knows about. I want to give him like the respect that he deserves.
Everyone, okay, homework assignment, everyone and anyone, if you've been featured in my, week's mid-century modern Frank Lloyd Wright architecture, you have some knowledge in your background in your market, you are to do research and analysis on Fishstein and find out as much information as you can for Herman Chan, because this is all about our global reach and the Sotheby's brand and how we work together and collaborate for each other. So let's find out everything and anything we can, especially who's going to buy the property from me. No.
Yeah.
So, I think there's so much more to a home and a property than just the architecture. It's really about a sense of community and a lifestyle. I know here in Orlando, the home that you see behind me actually was designed by Neil Schweitzer, and it was designed specifically for a gentleman named Dwayne Stark. He actually built the architectural design for our Orlando Public Library. So there's a lot of rich culture, heritage, history behind just the property itself, and I can't wait to show you all more. But really, what's awesome about our community, Orlando, much like yours, has a lot of little micro neighborhoods, micro pockets, but everyone kind of collaborates and comes together collectively to help each other. And maybe that's kind of unique for a city, but it actually has kind of this behind the scenes heart and lifeblood of people who are just really passionate about our community. And speaking to that, I know you have a lot of really great neighborhoods, restaurants, tell us a little bit about the neighborhoods you represent and what makes it unique and special, and why move, like maybe I want to uproot and move to California. Where do I go? Where do I start?
Well, just to finish your point about people being friendly and collaborative, like in California, in the Bay Area, I mean, when people move here from LA, New York, when people say hi to you on the street, like, what do you want? I mean, like, no, we just say hi to people on the street because we're friendly. So I think people are taken aback by, I mean, we have just people are very collaborative here the same way. And I think it's something to do with like the fact that when you're out here in California, historically, California has a legacy of pioneers. Like it's the pioneer movement way back in the day, the settler, number one. Number two, if you're coming here for Hollywood, you're like, you're forging your dreams out of nothing. And the same thing with Silicon Valley. People came here from everywhere in the world with a dream to make something happen. So there's this collective notion of like, we're in this like area together because we want to forge a new life together and push new boundaries. So we don't have like old money here. I mean, we have some old families here, obviously, but it's collectively speaking, it's just a very friendly place. The sunshine is marvelous. And I just feel like it's been a really dynamic place. I mean, what is there not to say about California? California is like a nation state in of itself. It's just like.
And it might become so, I've heard. I love it.
Yeah, it was news to me. Right? I mean, most people come here, in my opinion, like most of my clients nowadays are not from here originally. So the notion of like a native Bay Area person is almost like when I tell them that I'm a unicorn.
I mean, you are a unicorn on so many levels. But
So we have a lot of like history of people coming here for work And the job situation here with Silicon Valley has just been a pressure of that situation where people are coming here out of everywhere in the world to make this their home. So it's a melting pot. It really is.
You know, it's so funny actually, because California has always been one of those places that kind of sings to my heart. I remember being in high school growing up in a small town in Minnesota going like, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to go to California and like this fancy life. It was always that vision. Like it just has this aura about it, about really being the place where the seeds of dreams can grow into reality, you know? And I love that about your state.
It's so poetic.
Oh, thank you. I do some writing. But I think what I love most is that, you know, your state is so open to people relocating from other areas. And right now, more than ever, we're kind of in this transient time where people are like, do I really want to stay in the city I'm living in forever or in my house for 6 months at a time?
Right.
You know, I mean, we're kind of reassessing our value systems and what we find to be a priority and kind of seizing the opportunity to take a chance and fulfill a dream and go somewhere new and different and job opportunities. So which cities do you see the most influx relocating from into your Bay Area?
Well, interestingly enough, we're having an outflow of people actually because, the outflow is good and bad. It's not a big right or wrong. It's just the nature of economy. So I just think that the people who have been here, who came here like 10 years ago for college, for startup life, they made their money. And so they are like, okay, if you weren't born here, for example,
go back home.
You know, what do you go back home because you made your fortune, you're going back to where you are. There's nothing wrong with that because that just leaves your home open for the next person who's moving in from Florida, right? So I think there's a lot of influx from Asia still. I mean, the upper high net worth people are not buying at this point, but you know, there's still people immigrating from Asia. I'm seeing some New Yorkers actually flowing in. There's been an uptake this year because they say of all the whole pandemic situation, people don't want to be like kind of tight in these tight quarters. So California, not SF, the city, but you know, the East Bay, which is where I'm mostly selling and living, is lots of wide space. Place to breathe, spaciousness, you know, and you're just only a hop away from the city. So not so much from LA, but yeah, it's the cost of living here is a prohibitive kind of barrier for it. You know, it requires a certain level of affluence to buy here. So I think the average price in SF was 1.6.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, but I mean, I've heard worse. But you know,
I think realistically too, you're probably going to see an influx of like second, third home purchases happening in the influx of the next few years. I mean, I just see that being something that I know my customers would find fascinating and interesting. A lot of them already spend a lot of time in your area for business. Maybe they just want to pick up a little something on the side. That being said, how friendly is the Bay Area to Airbnb?
Oh, girl, honey, that's another topic. Well, Airbnb is
it's a little controversial in Orlando.
Yeah. Well, we can discuss then. So Airbnb is based here. I mean, I've toured the headquarters. You know, and I used to be a guest and a host too. But overall, from Airbnb, like just in terms of rentals, forget even Airbnb for a second. There has been a large pivotal shift in the culture. It's a little pro-tenant now, very pro-tenant. And there are lots of rights that are triggered if you're a tenant in certain rent-controlled, innovation-controlled cities like Oakland, Berkeley, Alameda, and San Francisco. So it's not the most friendly in terms of landlords. So when you throw in the Airbnb aspect of it, there's legislation already that you can only rent your place out for like 60, 90 days. There are stipulations you have to register with the city. It's almost a business to a certain degree. So I mean, I know there's people who made fortunes doing Airbnb years ago because of the clampdown. It's just the numbers aren't as lucrative as it used to be. So is that what's going on in your market? Like, why is it
yeah, I definitely had to ask because it depends on which county. And obviously Orange County, we have huge tourism. I mean, Orlando Metro has 78 million annual visitors from all over the world, right? Huge. So our hotel industry and our tourism industry is really kind of the lifeblood and the backbone for a large portion of the city outside of our tech industry and some like we have gaming and different things like that. KPMG actually just moved their global training headquarters here for accounting. So we do have a lot of other industry outside, Boeing, a lot of aerospace tech happening. But for the most part, that is the livelihood, right? So They did a lot of crackdowns in Orange County, eliminating, you know, a lot of short-term rental. It's very restricted. And a lot of people don't want, you know, transients in and out of their neighborhoods. That's really where it comes into play mostly. But Osceola County to the south, where Disney is, hasn't cracked down as a county as much. And as long as the neighborhood in and of itself doesn't have an HOA restriction, there's still a lot of opportunity. And I think that's why we're seeing such an influx from LA, from New York, a lot of people buying up these vacation rental properties to utilize them in that space and that capacity. It's not as prevalent as it was a couple of years ago, but there's still huge opportunity for ROI. I would say in addition to that, the second most popular item where there is like no restrictions because it abides by more of the tourism standards are short-term hotel condos, which are just a completely self-run hotel where it's very, very turnkey, you know, for 30% down, starting in the high 300s up to the 1.2-ish range. You can go pick up a little hotel condo. They take care of everything. And they have like a guaranteed 2-year lease back. So you're getting that ROI check cut every month, no questions asked. It's just like easy. So easy.
Great.
And hands off. So
that's the next wave. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean,
those are already those are legitimately places which are zoned for that purpose, as opposed to. Yeah, so I see why that would be less controversial, maybe less frowned upon by the county or whatnot, because those are designed to be that way, I suppose. But
it's kind of like a happy medium, right? It fills everyone's pockets and keeps everyone in check at the same time. And the nice thing is for out of state, we have so many out of state owners that it's something that they don't have to worry about or think about. Everything, you know, seamless and taken care of. But that was a little bit of a tangent because I do want to talk more about architecture. So tell me, how did you start your passion down this path? Like how did you come across this listing? How did you get inspired by architecture? Tell me everything.
Architecture, well, we sell real estate. I mean, it's my 20th year in real estate, and I just turned 42 last Friday, by the way. So
he just said 32. Don't believe him.
Oh no.
You look great.
A little birdie told me that someone else's birthday is coming up too. So
Monday.
Everybody, wish her happy birthday,
guys. I want to come visit you for my birthday.
Please. But back to your question. I think anyone being in real estate just naturally has to have some affinity for architecture. I mean, what is the product? It's kind of like, it's homes. It's, you know, every home by default has an architectural element to it, even tract homes. Okay, even those boring tract homes have there was an architect involved at some point, design choices. But as for me, like, you know, I'm so fortunate to live in the Bay Area because there's such a diverse variety of inventory here. So right now, this mid-century one I'm loving, and then I also have one from like 1912, $6 million. It's a castle.
Ooh,
and
that one. That one's on your website, isn't it? I have it posted. Oh, love.
That one, and that backstory on that owner was crazy too. I published a book about that thing actually because I was so fascinated about those stories. You know, it's like Game of Thrones or something from back in the day. And then I have like cool lots for sale too. So I mean, every house is different, and you know, I know you're a mid-century diva, but I'm like, we're all God's children, honey. You know, I love them all.
My friends laugh because even my wardrobe screams, did Miranda just step out of the 50s? I'm like, I mean, I try to keep it modern, but still, that's where my heart is. But I've got to be honest. So I love this idea that every realtor would have an appreciation for architecture. And I think they should. Like, I think it should be something that we study and we embrace and we understand. But specific example, and this just breaks my heart every time I even think about it. So the property behind me, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. On 4 acres, equestrian, right outside of a very affluent neighborhood, Winter Park. So you talk about old money. It is our true to Florida, great zip codes for schools type of. So one of the agents, I'm going to pretend it wasn't a Sotheby's agent from my office. I'm going to pretend it was like some other company. But, you know, I was speaking to this listing and they heard the acreage and they're like, ooh, 4 acres on the little, like, kind of like a Hatchie River. We should bulldoze that. And I was like,
oh, right.
I mean, I just like, hold your tongue, hold your tongue. I'll be back in a minute. I mean, I think I had to walk out of the room. I was just like,
Ooh, I'm getting hot.
who does this? But I mean, you see that in the Chicagoland market. You see that in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania market. A lot of these markets where you have these architectural wonders, either people really appreciate it and understand the value of art, history, like that each home kind of has a legacy and a chapter, a story to tell. Like the fact that you wrote a story about, published a book about your property, teach me your ways. I'm like, but there, either you have that sense of value or you don't. And that's part of the reason why I'm personally reaching out to our global network to make sure that this property gets the love, the attention, the exposure that it deserves, because it is the buyer in your market. It is the buyer in the Chicagoland market, the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania market. We may have someone locally that sees and understands the value and moves on it immediately, but realistically, it's probably going to be someone who already understands the value of what's here. And that's what I love about our brand is we all work together, we collaborate, and there might be someone in my market or Chicagoland that sees your listing and is like, I'm moving to the Bay, that is my home, and their name starts with like M because they're like Michael or Michelle or there's so much opportunity here for us to work together.
I agree with you, and I have worked for other companies before. I mean, I've been in Sotheby's for maybe like 7, 8 years now, but I have to say that just the network, I know it's we pound this into everyone like but it truly is like the absolute honest truth. Like for example, that house behind me right now, I have put out an ad. Actually, the lists of these people in Hong Kong, they do a magazine called Collections. I know that, I love them too. And so they said, oh my God, we came across your place. Can we feature it? So I was like, sure, why not? I mean, and so I sent it off to them. They published the magazine. It was a lovely hit. And then I thought, okay, final words. And my seller's happy. That's the most important thing. And I got some exposure. But then we got a call last week from someone in Hong Kong who wanted to do a tour of the property. And we just did it like 2 days ago. And so it was because of that ad that it was an advertorial ad. I didn't even necessarily pay for it, but it was the fact that it was in a Sotheby's collections magazine in Asia that, what other brokerage can say they have 72 countries covered? I mean, hello. So, so to your point, we've got a great group of people here.
Most of my listings actually get a lot of exposure internationally, and we have those heat maps with list track that show us which cities, you can almost zoom down to the block that that interest is coming from. Again, I have a buyer for a property on the Gulf Coast. I kind of go within about a 3-hour radius of Orlando Metro just because that's our market, and most of our incoming buyers shop more than one city. And they don't want to be passed off every 30 miles down the road.
Well, who does, right? Who does?
Yeah, no. So we commit to that and we build that relationship, me and my team. But this property specifically kept getting these hits out of Germany. I was like, what is going on here? And no calls, right? And then out of the blue, hi, I've had my eye on this property. I want it sight unseen, full price cash offer. They're just like, we're going to go ahead. We want it furnished, turnkey. We're going to be here on XYZ dates. And then of course, literally the day he books his flight and is ready to come, they do the travel ban lockdown. But, still coming after everything. We're still under contract. He can't wait to get here. But if you talk about the power of the brand, the exposure to other countries, other agents all over the world. I just hosted Kevin Thompson, our former chief marketing officer, last Monday. Isn't he a delight?
Yes, he's a doll. Do
you want an inside secret?
Yeah, what?
Okay, you're the first person I'm going to tell. No one else knows. This is okay. So next Thursday, I'm hosting Julie Latore.
Oh my gosh!
Interview with me, and we're going to talk all about Views, her new platform. So we're going to be live next Thursday, and you'll get to hear all from Julie. I know we all missed Kevin and we missed Julie, and we're bringing her back. So we can get some insider.
So that's why I heard that the Views is VUSE, right?
Yes. VUSE, yeah. So with an S.
I'll tune in.
I'll put a link actually to that too, also here, so that everyone can see and tune in from Sotheby's all over the world. And just thank you so much, Herman, for sharing your passion, your voice, your knowledge. I adore you.
I do. Ditto. So, one day.
Are you going to come for the launching of the Pulse Memorial Museum?
Give me an invite. I'll be there. Give me an invite.
Well, I can't. I think they postponed the actual grand opening a bit, but I will keep everyone up to speed, and we can have a little party here in Orlando when it happens.
All right. Well, it was lovely to see you, and thank you for having me, Miss Am. And happy birthday!
Thank you. Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Don't forget to follow Herman Chan. Anyone going to Silicon Valley, say hi.